I am free, are we free? That's the goal, to be free. So, many religions, I'm sure probably one that you came from, teaches the idea of heaven as a place that you get to spend all of eternity if you've abided by those particular rules and regulations of that particular religion. Were you taught that? How many of you were taught that you could have eternity in heaven, someplace out there, somewhere in the clouds, if you abided by the right thing? Most people came from that kind of background, yeah? Unless you came from an atheist background, or maybe a Jewish background, maybe a Buddhist background, but most of us come from a Christian background, and that's what we were given. Well, this talk is not about that. For me, that whole notion of a heaven out there with clouds and harps and angels' wings is at best a fairy tale. And at worst, it's an attempt at fear-based control to make you be good little boys and girls. Yeah. Fear-based control. At its worst, that's what it is. And unfortunately, I think that's how it's used most often. To try to scare you bad enough into being a good person so that you don't have to go to the hot place.
The hot place.
Which is just as silly as the nice cool wings and pillows and harps place. Sorry, Mom. Science of mind doesn't teach that there's a place called heaven or hell. You've probably heard that before, but there's enough of you who are brand new that we don't believe in literal places because remember, we live on a round planet in the middle of space. We're floating around in a vast space. So there is no such thing as up or down anyway. And the idea that there might be another place that's either real hot or nice and comfy, it's just fear-based control. So if we don't have fear, because you know there's a lot of religions that say, well, if you don't have fear given to your people, how are they going to be good people? Wow. Wow. I give a lot more credit to humanity than that. So if we don't believe that it's heaven or hell, we don't believe that there's places, and we certainly don't believe that it's only just after you die, after you leave this flesh. What do we believe? We believe that we're talking about states of consciousness. States of consciousness, there are people on this planet right now living in what we might call a hellish existence, and people who are living in a heavenly existence. So I'm not really going into the whole idea about heaven or hell beyond what I said. I just wanted to sort of set that up. Really where this talk is going is more what I called it, on earth as it is in heaven. So I'm sure most of you remember this prayer. You can join me if you want to. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debtors, or trespasses, depending on if you're Catholic, or as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. How many of you are raised hearing that? It's really a beautiful prayer, just often misunderstood. So before I go any further with this, I want to let you see just what I translated it to. Divine presence which is within. I am filled with respect and awe. I am open to divine guidance, allowing Spirit to work through me, in form as it is in spirit. God is source and substance of all needs. Let forgiveness be the norm. Keep my thoughts above limitation, so that I may look beyond appearances. For God's life is the only life, power, and presence eternally, and so it is. Thank you, Jane. So, to me, I needed to turn this around so that it worked for me in my language, and this is just my interpretation. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's how I hear it. What I really want to focus on is the words on earth as it is in heaven, and what that might mean to us, and how can we bring that ourselves? How can we bring a heavenly state to our earth? So we can take that away now. So I had the pleasure of studying with a man named Dr. Rocco Errico, who, if you want to do any biblical study from a man who knows the Aramaic language, who knows mysticism and symbolism and idioms, and he knows the culture and he knows the history like nobody I've ever met. He has spent his whole entire life's work studying the Bible from a scholarly, historical, mystical, you get it, point of view. And the things he has to say are amazing. The way he understands it is amazing. So he's my go-to guy. So he says the word heaven in Aramaic is Shemaiah. Shemaiah. If you break down and you do the roots, the first part is Shem. It means the name. Shem is a name. The second part, Yah, Shemaiah, is Yahweh, which was another Hebrew name for God. So Shemaiah, he says, can actually be thought of as the name of God. Shemaiah means heaven. Heaven is the name of God. If you break down the root. But he also says that here and there throughout Scripture, you find the word heaven, and what its meaning is things like peace, harmony, tranquility. Oh, now that makes more sense, doesn't it? Peace. To be in a heavenly state means we're in a peaceful state. We're in a state of harmony. We're in a state of tranquility. So then you'll also find in the Bible references to a new heaven and a new earth. A new heaven and a new earth. What he says is that it's about transforming our heart and mind. Sounds just kind of like what we teach here. Transforming our heart and mind. In other words, having a consciousness, having an embodiment of peace and tranquility and harmony. I like that. For me, that kind of comes down to the consciousness being something that I can definitely transform, and you can definitely transform. That's what we're doing. Now, we also find Jesus, who's used phrase like, "Our Father which art in heaven." So we just got through saying that heaven was about peace and tranquility, okay? Jesus also taught heaven is within you. You put those two together and we get this idea that Jesus was trying to tell people the peace, the love, the God, the tranquility is already where you're at. People missed it because then they started saying heaven was this place out here. And so it got disconnected. But if you take those teachings that it's the name of God, or it's the peace of God, or it's the love of God, and where do you find it? You find it within. That's what we believe here. That the heavenly state, the consciousness of peace and joy and love, must come from within us. It comes from within us because that's who we are. So when we take the idea of on earth as it is in heaven, I'm certain that it doesn't mean that we're supposed to be bringing the idea of halos and clouds and harps down here on this earth and then say what's wrong. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Although a harp's a beautiful instrument. You know, we look towards sometimes a heavenly state and say, well, humanity is not that, so humanity must be bad. There's a lot of religious concepts that put humans as this worm of the earth kind of idea because we're not bad, we're not angels singing in the heavens. It's really kind of skewed. On earth as it is in heaven, this is how I understand it, and I think Ernest Holmes had the same idea. In my experience, as it is in the world of spirit. Or another way to say it would be in the microcosm, as in the macrocosm. Or I know Richard's favorite way of saying it, as above, so below. As above, so below. As below, so above. I know, again, there's no high and low. So in my smaller piece of life, as in the bigger piece of life, as in my experience, as in the spirit experience. So what do we say that God is? Yell out some God qualities. Come on, you've all been students. What are some God qualities?
Love.
Love. What else? Wisdom.
Abundance.
Intelligence, abundance, forgiveness. Peace.
Health.
Health or wholeness.
Wholeness.
Harmony. Acceptance. All these wonderful, beautiful things that we say God is. What was that one? Beauty. Beauty, joy, peace, love, abundance, creativity, intelligence, wisdom. All these things that we say that this God is must be right here where I'm at. But we forget that we're that. We say, I'm a woman, I'm a minister, I'm married. We start to say that we're labels. But really what we are is the love and the peace.